So today we have all talked about different forms of Maya, but I'm going to talk about something that is very unique. So today we're going to talk about deception. So deception is a very funny thing. It marinates us until we become tender. Or that's what we think it does to us. Because we get deceived at every step of our lives, every day, but most of the times by our own mind. This is because we believe that our mind is like a camera. We believe that it takes a perfect image of whatever we see in front of us. But it is not that. Because our mind is like a mirror. It reflects what we see in front of us, and that's what we remember. But these reflections are not perfect. This is because our mind is not a perfect mirror. It does not reflect everything we see in front of us in the way we see it. It has imperfections. Like, after a hot steamy bath, a foggy mirror, right? So, as this mirror reflects what we see in front of us, we believe these to be absolute truths. And these absolute truths is what we keep in our mind as facts. And we believe these are the facts that give us knowledge. Now, this puts us in a situation that I have been through myself personally. It puts us in a vulnerable situation. So, growing up, I was a child who was, good at everything. I thought I could do everything. I thought I could ace an exam without studying for at least 10 minutes. But obviously I was wrong, because no one can do that. So, when I hit a roadblock that I couldn't do everything, I broke myself down. I had given up on my learning journey altogether. Now there's two ways this could have gone for me. In the first case, I would have given up on my learning journey altogether, and I would have shattered the mirror that my mind is. But this is clearly not what happened, because today I still stand in front of you learning at every single step of my life. This is because the moment that I realized that my mind is deceiving me, I just gave up at all. Because I thought to be a knowledgeable person, you needed to know everything. And you needed to be able to do everything. And I just thought I was objectively dumb because I couldn't do everything. And the moment this all changed is when my mother saw me just give up on whatever the criticism my teachers were giving me according to my academics. And seeing this, my mother had thought I had given up. And I indeed had given up because of my beliefs that I was objectively dumb. And that day she told me something that I still remember to this date, and I am grateful for. She told me that it is okay to not know everything. And being the obedient kid I was, I moved on that day because I thought whatever my mother said, I should follow. And I thought whatever my mother said is the truth. But later on in my academic journey, I wanted to know why that day I had moved on. And why that day I was okay with not knowing everything. And this led me to discover that acceptance of deception is what is true knowledge. It led me to discover that knowing that you do not know everything is true knowledge. Let me give you an example. How many of you are flat earthers? I know it's a very dumb question. Are there any flat earthers out there? Okay, so in the olden days, most of the people that believed that the earth was flat had been deceived by their own mind, and they were not ready to accept that they were being deceived by their own mind. But when they accepted that what they thought about the shape of the earth might be wrong, they instilled a sense of curiosity in themselves. They instilled a sense of curiosity in themselves and had an opportunity to learn. Now, what this tells us is that deception is what shapes human understanding. It's what gives an opportunity for a human to learn. Now, let's talk about science and deception. This is because all of you might say that I'm a fool. What are you even saying? Because you think that knowledge is science and you think that knowledge is complete facts. But it's important to understand that even science grows from deception, that even science emerges from deception itself. This is because every single theory that I learn as a science student has had a stepping stone in the form of other theories. It has had another theory being proven wrong for it to be proven right. This shows us that deception is the true root of knowledge and is even the true root of science. Let me give you a clear example. How many of you believe Sir Isaac Newton is the greatest scientist of all time? Quite few of you. But there's one person who didn't believe in everything that Sir Isaac Newton said. And that person is Mr. Albert Einstein. He believed that whatever Mr. Newton said was not complete truth. And this is what led him to discover and prove Mr. Newton wrong, that the space was fixed. He proved that space was in fact relative rather than being fixed. And even Mr. Einstein didn't know everything, is what quantum physics tells us today. So ladies and gentlemen, now I want to talk about deception being a blessing and deception being a superpower, but not in the way you think it is. Not like Doctor Strange deceiving you, but it is self-deception that is a blessing for you. This is because self-deception allows us to prepare for life. Self-deception prepares us for hardships that we faced, and it prepares us for the path of life. Let me explain. How many of you can't swim? Quite few of you. This is because you painted a picture in your mind that I will drown if I try to swim. And there's two ways a person who cannot swim and wants to learn to swim can paint a picture in their mind. The first way is that I might die. I might drown and die. It's not going to be okay. But if you deceive yourself by saying to yourself that I'm going to be okay, I can swim. Even though if it is wrong, you will still take that risk that gives you that skill. Every single athlete, every single swimmer that is there has accepted that and deceived themselves by telling themselves that they could swim. And this is why we know that knowledge is not pushing away of deception, but it is accepting that deception is there. Previously, I mentioned that we had some imperfections in our mind, in the form of a mirror, which is a mirror. And these imperfections show our character. This is because these imperfections are formed when you experience something. These imperfections are made through the pain you go through. They are made through every single feeling that you had in your life, and they reflect what we see in front of us. And a person who is wise is not the person who has a perfect mirror, but knows that he has imperfections in his mirror. He knows that my mind is deceiving me. He knows that illusion is a real thing and illusion is making me dumb. So, now we come to deception and veracity. The sole reason I'm standing here today in front of you guys is to tell you that deception and veracity are not polar opposites, but they are in fact yin and yang. They are interdependent forces that work together to shape human understanding. They form a dynamic system where deception disrupts and veracity corrects. Deception and veracity are two forces of nature that help us live our lives and learn. So, knowledge is not choosing in between deception and veracity, but it is rather oscillating in between them. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge all of you to understand that knowledge comes from deception, and the pain of acceptance is what shapes knowledge. Knowledge is not knowing everything, but it is to know that you do not know and know about the existence of illusion. Trust me, if you know what illusion is and if you accept that your mind is deceiving you, it will all work out. And if you dance with deception, it will all work out.